Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. If this is your first time here, then welcome. If you've been here a second or third time, y'all already know what time it is. It is time for Married at First Sight. Every Wednesday night I bring you these reviews, or Thursday morning, depending on when you're listening, honey. And it's a lot of things to unpack, okay? It's a lot of things to unpack. If you're here for the first time, I give lighthearted reviews on Married at First Sight, among other shows. But this one is very entertaining and very detailed. If you need to take a break, go right ahead. But I'm going to need y'all to listen to this all the way through, because the way that I'm about to get ready to go in on Chris, you're going to want to buckle up. You're going to want to take a seat. You're going to want to hear this. Honey, even if you have to sit through my ads, I wish you would do, because it helps me. Just a little shameless plug. Honey, let's get into it. All right, so we're on Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 13. I named it The Episode from Hell, okay? We see Bree and Vincent. Vincent's still sleeping, honey. That's what happens when you don't work. And Bree is standing over him, telling him, hey, you want to get up? He's like, I need 3 more hours. And I'm thinking, what time is it that you need 3 more hours before I sleep on? We see Ryan and Clara working out, honey, because they're getting their physical fitness. And I'm doing air quotes because, that's the only thing physical that's happening over there. Then we see Haley and Jacob talking about massages. Okay. Then we see Eric and Virginia. The dog is barking. Eric's getting irritated yet again. Then we see Chris looking ugly. And then we see Paige walking out, honey. Talk about a euphemism. I hope you walking up out of this Lifetime apartment. I hope you walking up out of his life, never to return, honey. I hope that's where you're walking to. So then we go over to Eric and Virginia. Virginia's sister comes over. Okay, that was sweet. She comes over. She says it's rare that they go this long without talking to each other. Have you been introduced to her husband? Hi, he's Eric. Ciao, gone. So then, I'm just sitting here because I saw the kids walk in with the sister, and I was thinking, honey, I hope Eric don't get mad at the kids for being kids, child. Mad at them because they're eating pizza with their hands and not with a fork and a spoon, honey. I'm just hoping that he don't get mad because they're being kids. You know how he's mad at Rocky for being a puppy. So I'm just saying. So the sister's like, it's been forever. Then here they go, both lying. Child, that is a pattern with these couples. They just lie and put on a front when they get in front of people. Honey, girl, child, I know you're supposed to keep your marital business to yourself. Never let anybody know you're fighting. When you go out, you present a united front. I'm all for that. But at the same time, it's exhausting. Anyway, here go Eric. We just get along. We're just there. I just really love her. We just get along. Virginia's like, we're not fighting about anything. We never hardly fight. The only thing we're fighting over is where to live. Girl, okay. So what we saw last week, was y'all fighting over where to live? Girl, okay, honey. If that's what you want to go with, we shall go with that. So then her sister says, well, she said in her little interview, she's like, I hope they're not going into this with rose-colored glasses. And I'm thinking to myself, honey, sister, you've only been here for 2 seconds and you can see through the BS. Child, they just sitting up here lying and trying, because what they're saying right now is so far from the truth. It's ridiculous, honey. Cap, all cap. Anyway, so Eric leaves with the kids, and the sister says, so am I okay for my kids to go outside with him? Honey, I know that's right. I know that's right, honey. I'd be asking the same thing. Virginia was like, well, he's really good with kids. He says he wants to have kids like tomorrow. Child. Oh, my goodness. So the sister was like, well, take it slow. She said, is there anything that's concerning you? So Virginia said, well, he is trying to control me, and him and Dad have the same political views. Sister, I know you know what that means. So when you heard same political views, I'm sure you were thinking, oh my gosh, honey, you better run. You better run for cover. So they're sitting there chatting it up. And the fact that the sister said, can I trust him with going outside with my kids? Honey, that's all I need to say about this part. Then we go over to Brianna and Vincent. Bree said Vincent just started a business in April. Okay, just started a business in April. But then there are these articles floating around that says he's worth $800,000. People are literally going in on me in my comments. He started his business in April. All right, let's continue. And they want to buy a house. And honey, she don't want a love shack, okay? She wants a house that's made of actual material. So they start talking about finances. Okay. Bree says, well, let's talk about our finances, okay? So my braids are like $250, side eye. My waxes are like $450, he's side eyeing it. Clothing like $300 to $400 a month. Bree, girl, now that's excessive, honey. You're an adult. It's no need for you to keep buying these clothes every month, honey. Recycle what you already got. Mix and match. You can make 1,000 different outfits from 2 pair of jeans and 3 shirts. Like, I'm trying to figure out, why are you spending? And for what I'm seeing you wearing, honey, what? I know you love shoes, honey. I have a shoe obsession myself, because when you and Vincent were moving to the neutral apartment, I did see that you had 55,000 pairs of shoes. I have a shoe addiction as well. But once you get married, some of those things you have to cut back on. Okay, now $300 and $400 a month just for shoes alone, but you want the entertainment budget to remain higher than $300 or $400 a month, then you're gonna have to stop all that shopping. Okay, I mean, let's get real. So Vincent's sitting over there looking alarmed, and she said, okay, I think I can cut back. Okay, so what about 150 or 250? He's still looking crazy. Okay, so Vincent said, well, $200 a month for entertainment. Bree said, that's one date. Now, Bree, honey, I kind of have to agree, because when you go out to a nice restaurant, I'm not saying you always have to do 5-star, but honey, the drinks alone will rack your bill up to at least $80. I know, I used to work in food service, so I'm just saying, if you get your bill up with food, with drinks alone, that's $80. Then you both order a $25 meal, okay, or even a $30 meal. And then you have dessert. And are you just going to dinner? Are you going to a movie? Are you going bowling? Like, what are you going to do? Like, okay, child, okay. So anyway, she's like, $350. He said, yeah, $350. Baby, y'all gonna be doing a lot of bike riding. I'm just telling you now, honey. He bought that bike so he could introduce you to being outside. Because Vincent said, I ain't got it, child. Vincent, you better download Groupon and Living Social, honey, and get you some of them coupons off of there, child. Because the way this budget is looking, honey, Champagne Vinny looking more like Welch's Grape Vinny, honey. I'm just saying. So then they get ready to add everything up, and the total monthly expenses is $9,127 a month. There's no mortgage factored into this. There's no rent factored into this. $9,127. Child, okay, listen, Bree. If last year taught you nothing, it is to save your coins. You never know when a global pandemic might bust up on the scene, honey. We were not expecting this. Millions of people on the unemployment line. People are at soup kitchens, child. People lights are being turned off. And you're spending $9,127 on braids and shoes? Girl, if you don't go to the hair store and get you one of them little puff ponytails and put on the back of your head and go head on, girl, no ma'am. So then Vincent said that they should spend more time at home. He did tell you last episode when you asked him, where are you going to take me? And he said, have you ever heard of HOME? He meant that. So he was like, if we have a pool table and we have TVs, then why go out? To date, if we have a pool table and TVs, honey, I got that right now. That don't mean I don't want to go anywhere. So she was like, no, I still want to be courted. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Child, Bree said, I still want you to court me. He starts pouting. I knew it was coming. Bree said, I need excitement. I don't want to just sit at the house. Child, where that $800,000 salary at? Y'all gonna learn to trust me when I tell y'all what I know, child. 18 days until decision day. Virginia tells us they are meeting with the experts, honey. Virginia looking like a 40-year-old. Now, I ain't gonna even say 40-year-old because we popping, okay? I'm not quite 40 yet, but we still popping. And I don't know, child, she looked like she was dressed as Dr. Pepper. Girl, it's not a costume party. So, anyway, child, she put that little cardigan on and those glasses, honey, it aged you. She says, she's gonna go and talk to Dr. Pepper, and she has her big girl outfit on, honey. Pastor Cal, she goes to visit Pastor Cal. Correction. Pastor Cal asked her, okay, so what's the best thing about being married? Virginia said, it's our chemistry. He says, so what are the unanswered questions you have? She said, the kid things. She said, I need to know because he says if we're not having kids, then he's done. And she said she has a fear of being pregnant and being a good mom. Let me tell you something to all the men that may come across this review. Fear of being pregnant is for real, okay? There are a lot of things that can complicate your pregnancy. Giving birth and bringing a life into the world, that is something that could take your life. So the fact that these women are fearful about having babies, I feel like that should have been more of a discussion. I feel like that was kind of glanced over, especially when it came to Bree and Vincent, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But I really do understand your fear, Virginia. So she said she also has a fear of being a good mom. Honey, don't we all, child? My child is here, and still every day I'm fearful, like, did I do enough today? You know, did I play with him enough today? Did I give enough hugs? Is he happy? Can he express if he's upset? You know, you have those thoughts as a parent. So that's going to come whether or not, you know, you have kids. I mean, when you have kids, it just comes. That's just a natural thing that happens. So she said she talked to her dad and she told him some things that she remembered in her childhood that he didn't think that she actually remembered. And she said, you know, it's just funny because certain things will stick with you forever as a child and it could mold you. And I'm like, that's true. And she doesn't want to do anything that may jeopardize her being a good mom. And I was thinking to myself, okay, so that is very mature of you, Virginia, because the fact that you are actually thinking ahead of time about what kind of mother you will be versus just having a child and then just doing whatever and treating the child like whatever. The fact that you are thinking about how you will care for them, nurture them, and make sure that you bring them into an environment that is not toxic, that's some maturity, honey. But your maturity didn't last for long, honey. I'm going to get into it when I get into it. So Pastor Cal said, the mere fact that you care about messing them up says that you will be a good mom. Virginia says, well, the ultimatums, they scare me. And she feels like it should be, you know, no matter what type of thing, no matter what they go through, they should be able to stick through it. So she says she's more mature than Eric. Honey, you are. You're more mature than he is. Pastor Cal said, well, tell him and see what he says. Child, that's going to be a conversation. Eric is sitting over there with Dr. Pepper looking like Howdy Doody with his haircut and his little glasses on, smiling. Child, I see straight through it. Asking us. So she was like, well, Dr. Pepper said, what are the high points? Here he comes with these rehearsed answers. You know, we're so good. Okay. We're so good. Like from the minute I saw her, we're good. Okay. We're good. I'm in love with her. Did I mention we're good? Shut up, Eric. So Dr. Pepper said, okay, cut the crap, honey. Tell me about the blow-ups because we've seen them. He said, you know, well, we just really blew up about the dog. No, you're using the dog, but you actually mean Virginia. Okay. Eric, come on now. Saying the dog, but we know that's a euphemism for Virginia, child. He said, you know, I feel like we could train Rocky together. Dr. Pepper said, why do you need to be this dog's dad? And I was thinking the same thing. And, you know, he gave his answer and she said, what if she had a child from another relationship? And then you just demanded to put your views on her. Like, that's not okay. I said the same thing, Dr. Pepper. And thank you for showing up, heifer. Where you been? Girl, you did everything you needed to do this episode, so I'm kind of not mad at you anymore. But I was really ticked that it took you so long to show up on the scene because Dr. Viviana was just worried about showing up looking good. Pastor Cal, honey, they make his nerves so bad, child. Good thing he already has lost his hair. Otherwise, he'd be bald. But you were giving it to him straight, no chaser, honey. And I appreciated every minute of it, okay? So she basically told him, honey, it's not okay. And I said that if y'all want to go back and listen to one of my lives, feel free. She asked, well, what are the questions that you have? He said, well, Virginia is very independent, almost too independent, because you want to control her. That's why. You don't like her independence. You don't like her being able to think for herself and being able to make her own decisions because you want to control her. Okay, I caught that. So she's like, well, let me give you a way to bring it to Virginia. Dr. Pepper tells him it's not good to drink and converse because she feels like that the drinking is the root of the problem and the reason why their conversations go the way that they go. So then she says, do you think it's okay for Virginia to drink that much? Listen, Dr. Pepper, listen to me, honey. I'm speaking directly to you. Honey, you are asking the questions. We have been stating, I've never called her an alcoholic because I don't like to label people, honey. But when she pulled out that box wine, I did say she might need to go to Betty Ford. But all I'm saying is this. That's what needed to be talked about because the fact that, but let's not get it twisted, Eric, while you sitting here nodding your head, honey, you be drunk too. When you showed up to meet the dudes in Vegas, honey, you could barely keep your eyes open. Okay. Whenever you're with Virginia, you're drunk. So stop acting like you're perfect because it's both of y'all, honey. No conversations when y'all are loose as a goose. Okay. So she said all of your arguments pretty much happen while you're drunk. So then she tells him to go to Virginia and speak to him. And there's a way to be honest and not cruel. I loved it. But at the same time, we're talking about Eric, honey. He don't know no other way to be. Dr. Pepper said, ask her if she could stop drinking for a while. He said, I will try, but I don't think it'll work. Oh my goodness, child. Dr. Pepper, where you been all season? You only had to quarantine for 14 days, child. You done quarantined the whole damn season. Dr. Pepper said, Eric, I've been around the block, honey. You can't fool me. Boy, gone. I know that's right, Dr. Pepper. Clara and Ryan. Ryan says, he meets with Dr. Pepper, and Ryan says, they did a great job. Child, please, honey, get on out of here. So she said, what's the highest point? He said, yeah, I could tell you that. Sure. I could tell you that. We're magnetically connected. Do you know how magnets work, Ryan? Magnets actually attach themselves to each other. Honey, they're on top of each other. Can't pull them apart. You and Clara are the furthest thing from magnetically connected. Child, ugh. Oh my goodness. Dr. Pepper said, a lot of couples like to front like their life is perfect, like their marriage is perfect, but no couple is perfect. Dr. P, you better say it, honey. At this point, you're Dr. P, honey. You're not even Dr. Pepper. I've given you a nickname. I'm going to start calling you Master P. Nah, honey, because you are giving it to him. All right, Dr. P. So Dr. P said, have you talked about your spiritual journey? Sure. Ryan, no, you haven't, y'all. That's a lie. He said, I know where her foundation is. Then they do a little flashback to when they were at the aquarium. Honey, you might know where her foundation is, but it's not in the church. That's for sure. Okay. Just want to let you know. He said he doesn't want to push her. Dr. P said, well, is it correct that y'all are still waiting on intercourse? Baby, Dr. Pepper, listen to me. When I tell you I was screaming at the screen every question you asked, she said, how do you think that makes her feel? He said, maybe I should ask. Duh. Oh, you little Keebler elf. Yes, you should ask. But Clara should be piping up anyway. So Dr. P said, it probably makes her feel rejected that you haven't had sex, and it may be a bigger elephant than you think. Child, a moment of silence for the sense of it all. Over on the other side, Clara over there lying to Pastor Cal. Honey, he's easily convinced though, child. He ain't no Dr. P. He ain't no Master P, okay? So Clara over there lying to him. She said they didn't expect. He was like, well, how are things? She's like, I didn't expect to be connected this well. Like, I mean, everything is just so great. You guys couldn't have done a better job. Clara, are you insane? Like, I'm starting to think something is wrong with you. I'm really starting to think something is rattling up there, like marbles are just going around at the top of your head. For you to say to this man, I can't believe that you guys connected me so well. You guys did an excellent job. I couldn't have done a better job myself. Girl, anyway, so then he said, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate your marriage? She said, a 10. Best relationship I've ever had for sure. Baby, Pastor Cal leaned back like, girl, you and that chin is a bold-faced lie, honey. Bold-faced lie. Okay? He said, do you have any questions? She said, yeah, the L word, the love word. Pastor Cal said, so are you saying you're in love with him, but you don't want to tell him? She said, yeah. Clara, you ain't a bit more in love with that boy than the man in the moon. You are not in love with that man. You are trying to figure out anything that you can say and or do for him to lay down with you. That's not going to work. Girl, you ain't in love with that boy. Pastor Cal said in his interview, no marriage is a 10. No, not one. And if you find one that's a 10, they a 10 lie. Okay. He was like, well, you need to ask him. Pastor Cal said, where are you now with sex? I mean, don't give me any details. I just want to know. She said, well, we are taking it slow. Would I like to go to Pound Town? Yes, honey, I know you would. She says he has dated people for months and years with no sex. Ryan, listen to me. If you are asexual, just say that. If nothing gets your mojo going except that chin and that mouth, just say that. If you're a virgin, just say that. There's nothing wrong. Actually, it's admirable to be a virgin in 2021, as big and as grown and as old as you are. It's fine. But just say that. Because you and Clara are looking like a bunch of dunces on these episodes, honey. I need some dunce caps. Like, y'all looking crazy. Anyway, so then Pastor Cal looked at her like, what? Honey had to take his glasses off. And y'all already know when Pastor Cal take his glasses off and start rubbing the corner of his eyes, it's because he's heard some foolishness. So He said, have you asked him about it? She said, yeah. Well, somebody lying, because over on this side, he's saying y'all haven't had a conversation about sex, and maybe he should ask you how frustrated you are. On this end, you're saying you've had such in-depth conversations that you know that he hasn't had sex with women that he's been in relationships with for months and years. Girl, which one is it? He said, would you be okay with what you're doing now and nothing else? Honey, dropping to your knees and not in prayer. Would you be okay with that for the rest of your life? Just jaw-japping forever? She said, no. That's what I thought. 18 days until decision day. Virginia in the car doing a little quick, check-in. She says it went good, but there are some questions. She hasn't talked to Eric all night long or all day long, and she needs some questions answered, and she'll feel a lot better once they talk. Eric gets home and asks, what did y'all talk about? And so she asked him, and he said, well, we talked about everything. Like what? Howdy doody? What did you talk about? Let's get into it if we're going to get into it, honey. He tells her Dr. P told him to let Training Rocky go. And she was like, yes, Dr. P, yes. So then he said the biggest thing he got was drinking being a factor. Virginia, in her true troubled fashion, honey, because I don't want to call her an alcoholic. I'm not going to do that over here on this channel, honey. Now, what y'all do in the comments, honey, I'm acting like I don't see it. I'm going to turn a blind eye. But I am not going to be calling her an alcoholic over here. So she goes, well, our arguments would happen whether we were drinking or not. No, they wouldn't, Virginia. You would have a clear mind and you would be of sound mind and body to have a conversation. That's why you go to jail when you're drinking and driving, because you're not coherent. There are certain things you can't do when you're drunk. Child, having serious life-changing conversations is one of them. He said, well, when it's serious, we shouldn't drink. She said, I talked to them about the ultimatum on the kids. And he said, I hate that word. And he was like, I mean, you can call it that. I mean, it's a deal breaker. She said, okay, well, that's an ultimatum. Crazy. That's an ultimatum. She said, well, what if I can't have them? Like, what if I physically can't have them? He said, well, if you physically can't, I won't leave you. He says, it's a shame because you're so good with them. Let's clear the liquor cabinet first, honey, before we start talking to her about kids. And you didn't mention nothing about if she just straight up said she didn't want to do it. You simply said, if you physically can't, I won't leave you. But you didn't say out of your mouth, if you don't want to have them, I wouldn't leave you. Honey, I caught that, child. Let's clear that liquor cabinet and see what we can do with that, and then we'll talk. Eric says, I know you like your friends, but can we take one weekend and it just be us? Virginia said, oh, yeah. Well, I mean, as long as you plan ahead with me. And then Eric said, well, you do know you have to sometimes cancel plans for me. Virginia said, no, why? Now, Virginia, listen. Girl, honey, it's something wrong with both of y'all. Okay, last episode, I felt like Eric was really coming down on you, and he was gaslighting and controlling you with some of his verbiage. But at this point, something wrong with you as well, because you are not going to put your friends before your husband. It doesn't work like that. You make plans with your friends, and then your husband comes first. You don't make plans with your husband, but your friends come first. Honey, that doesn't make any sense. Virginia basically said, honey, tell my assistant to pencil you in. I can't be bothered with these people. Oh, every Wednesday night they set me up for failure. Ryan and Clara. Ryan comes in and kisses her forehead. Girl, if you don't leave, her forehead. She was like, oh, I didn't know if you were coming in for a forehead kiss or a kiss on the lips. Girl, you know you weren't coming in for no kiss on the lips. You said before it took y'all 40 days and 40 nights just to kiss. Honey, the last kiss you got was at the wedding. Oh, my goodness, Clara. They talk about church. Clara said raising kids can work without, them agreeing on the whole church thing, because her dad didn't go to church and they did. And I mean, her family worked out just fine. Ryan says, that's not going to work. Okay. In his interview, he said, that's not what I signed up for. That's not going to work for me. Church is his deal breaker. Ryan says, so what are your thoughts about my feelings about sex? And so Clara clams up, because for whatever reason, these females on here are so afraid to let these men know exactly how they feel. She tells him, I'm a little frustrated. A little? Girl, you were in that dang on apartment last episode like the Tasmanian devil. Your whole head spun around, honey, and I was about to call an exorcist. Girl, you are more than a little frustrated. And quite frankly, I really feel like you just want to conquer Ryan. I don't even think you're frustrated. I don't even think you want to have sex. I'm pretty sure you're doing whatever you need to do to get yourself through. But I think what Dr. P said was true. You feel rejected and you want him to validate you by going to Pound Town. Girl, you ain't fooling nobody. But she said, I have respect for you though. Do you? She said, do you see that happening anytime soon? He said, I don't know. Ryan, this is when we needed you to pipe up and say, you and your Kango. We needed you to say, yeah, sure. Honey, this was the time to say that. The one time you should be saying that you don't, child. Y'all not getting nowhere, honey. Y'all not gonna get nowhere, and y'all not doing nothing no time soon. So you might as well just forget about it, okay? Because neither of you are being honest. That's one thing they should agree on, honey, that they're not going to Pound Town. He says he wants it to be meaningful. She said asking will push him away, but not asking. Okay, so this is the thing. You're saying asking will push him away, but not asking and being deprived will push you away. Try both of y'all nuts. Then we go over to Paige and Chris. Honey, I don't even know why they keep saying Paige and Chris. I hate that. Paige comes in. Honey, love the jumpsuit. Child, I love it. Red is your color. Body banging, honey. But that wig ages you just a bit. Dr. P looks at her and says, I'm so sorry. Girl gone, honey. You and Pastor Cal and all the experts, y'all feel so sorry for Paige, but you should have vetted this weirdo before you put him here and said that he was ready to get married to somebody. So she said she thought he would be the right partner. Honey, they were bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, child. Dr. Pepper says, you are the superior human being. Yes, Dr. Pepper, honey. Look him. I think I'm going to title this review, Paige is the superior human being. You know what? Actually, I am. She said he is an extreme narcissist. I'm glad you called it. Now, all of us are validated because we've been calling him that, honey. And now that the actual expert is saying it, honey, we know it's a go. It's a green light, okay? And you deserve so much better. Paige says, this wasn't a random, it was just so random. And then I just don't understand it. Child, wasn't nothing random about what was going on, honey. It was all because of that ex. I don't know how many times we got to say that. She was like, why sign up for this if you will still still mentally over there? Dr. Pepper says, well, he only thinks of himself. She said, I'm just confused, honey. I'm confused. You should be. I don't know what you're confused about, though, because he's already told you what it is. Child, y'all confusing me. Dr. Pepper said, well, why did he want you to meet that ex? She didn't say she didn't say that ex, but y'all know how I do. So Paige said, I don't know. And she said, and she didn't want him either. So what was the purpose? And Dr. Pepper said, the purpose was to hurt you. Dr. Pepper said, this is what I want you to take with you. No matter who it is, do not take this. Keep your boundaries, honey, and make sure you know your worth. Then they both just sat there awkwardly shaking their heads at each other. Child, I'm like, okay. Then Paige says, I just want to ask why. Girl, why do you keep wanting to ask? Paige, you don't need any closure. Now you're starting to get on my nerves. You don't need any closure, girl. Pick yourself up, pick your wig up, dust your wig off, and go head on, move forward. You're asking, hoping to get another answer. Let it be. Child, so then we go over to this. Oh my goodness. Listen now. Normally, I don't cuss in my reviews. Okay. I give you a clean review because I know that's what the people come here for. But today, it might be a few obscenities mixed up and through because of what he said. So Chris was supposed to meet Pastor Cal at 7 p.m. It is now 7:45. Pastor Cal said, are we done? Are we wrapping? They're like, yeah. Then this stupid ogre, this doofus shows up, comes in wearing one of his happy hour outfits, honey, with his capris and his ashy ankles showing like he's not 45 minutes late. Comes in with his phone in his hand, honey, because he's already been talking to that ex, sits down and gets ready to open his disgusting mouth. And then we take a commercial break. When we come back, Pastor Cal, honey, listen, you were being a little bit too nice. I needed you to go in just a little bit. I know Chris and Dr. P got they mince words or whatever, and they got a little, it's a little bit of a, tension between the two, but he should have been with Dr. Pepper because I needed her to lay into him, honey, and she ain't never scared. You were being a little bit too lenient, asking all these questions, and we don't care. We don't give a damn, okay? What we want to know is why do you keep coming on here with your ugly self, looking how you looking, and have the audacity, the unmitigated gall, the gumption to act like you look like something that somebody would ever look at. Child, anyway, so let's go into it before I get into it, okay? Pastor Cal, you're a better person than me. He said, I had high hopes for you. And he said, you said y'all look good on paper. We do look good on paper. But in real life, I wouldn't talk to her. Like if I was at a bar, I wouldn't just look over at her and talk to her. Boy, pick your tongue up. Can't even pronounce words. Honey, I'm sure no one would just look at you and talk to you if you didn't leave with money. Because judging from that ex, either something missing from her brain or you led with money, honey. You led with one of those $5 footlongs, honey. You showed up one of those $5 footlongs and told her you owned the Subway, and that's how you got that ex. Sitting up here trying to act like you wouldn't talk to Paige if you saw her across the room, honey. She's a baddie. I'm pretty sure nobody ever looks at you, no matter where you are, grocery store, gas station, church, honey. It doesn't matter where you are. Nobody looks at you and says, ooh, that's somebody I might want to talk to. No, you're ugly inside and out. Anyway, so then Pastor Cal said, well, why? Why not? He said, it's her face. Boy, you are sitting here looking like you are missing one of your chromosomes, and you have enough nerve to say it's her face? So when you slept with her, what? It wasn't her beauty, it was her booty? You're saying her face? Have you seen you? With that processed hair that's sticking straight up on your damn head? Have you seen you? You and your childbearing hips and your ashy ankles? And your huge man boobs? Have you seen you? Face looking like Droopy the dog. You big doofus? And you gonna have enough nerve to say her face? Listen to me. I don't want to jump the gun, but quite frankly, I feel like it's a whole colorism thing. That's what I think. I feel like Paige is too dark for him. There, I said it. I don't feel like it had anything to do with her face because she's pretty. She did have on a bad wig, honey. I told her from inception when I first saw her walking down the aisle, that wig didn't have no part. But that has nothing to do with what's going on right now. He is a colorist. Talking about Pastor Cal said, he said, well, I wasn't attracted to her face. It's so many other queens out there. Hispanic queens, Latin queens, black queens, white queens, none of which want you. Honey, I don't give a damn how big the kingdom is. Nobody is looking at you. Child, sitting up there talking about all these queens and y'all give me her. Child, oh my goodness. Oh my God. He said out of 1 million women, y'all pick her. Pastor Cal said, no, don't say that. Pastor Cal said, we did the best we could do. He said, you wanted to be a power couple. You wanted to walk into the room. He said, the attraction has to be more than the face. Attraction has to grow. Chris said, he said, you didn't even give it a chance. I did. No, you didn't. Dummy. No, you did not. So then Pastor Cal said, let me say that you didn't handle this relationship well. You've been engaged a few times and nothing. So I just don't think that you do relationships well. Pastor Cal said, this has not been your finest hour. No, it has not. This is one of the most hated men on reality TV. And every time I think I make and give something to somebody else, he comes and does something else that pisses me off. Oh my goodness. Pastor Cal said, this hasn't been your finest hour. Chris said, I have done things to the best of my ability. What ability? He said, you are married and you bought your ex a car. Is that the best of your ability? He said, I said she could come too. Pastor Cal said, what planet are you living on? Planet of the Apes. That's the planet he living on. With his ugly, hideous, dumb ass. And y'all know I don't normally use profanity in my review. But the fact that you just keep on sitting up here harping on this girl's looks like you are somebody's Idris Elba. Or like Michael B. Jordan, honey, or even Michael Jordan, honey. It don't even have to be the B in the middle of it. Child, the fact that you think you look like something. You're one of the most hideous men that has ever graced the Married at First Sight stage. Child, this review gonna run real long because, honey, I had to go in on him. And then so Chris started saying, I was just real excited about the kids. And I just don't understand why it's a big problem that I bought Mercedes. Shut up, old ignorant boy. You really thought that sounded cool. And about Mercedes. Okay, you bought Ford Taurus or Mercedes. Honey, she ain't no better than Paige. Child. Both of y'all gonna be catching an Uber when they repossess that car. Child. Girl, child. Oh, listen. Oh, honey. Let me gather myself. Ooh. Then he said, I need to buy her a house too. A house? Oh my goodness. I hope that ex is watching this and any other eligible women in Atlanta. Please run far away from this doofus. This little weirdo has convinced himself that he is a prize and he is God's gift to women. I don't care what he leads with. I don't care what he says. Please run to the nearest exit, honey. Oh my goodness. So then Chris said, I don't understand why I'm here. I mean, I want to be done. Pastor Cal was like, you are done. Yes, you are. He said, don't you think you owe her an apology at least? He said, I can't apologize for that. And starts laughing. This little stupid hyena started laughing. He thought that him saying he wasn't going to at least give Paige an apology for all the heartache and pain and everything he's put her through was funny. You little troll. Child, I ain't got nothing else for you, honey. Then we are back over here. Paige, back in that wig. Paige, girl. Okay, I'm gonna let you make it a little bit with this wig because right now you're packing up, okay? Paige is over there packing up. She says, child. She said, for him to not even spend the night once. Like, why did she sign up? So then she said, she is moving with so many unanswered questions. Honey, all your questions are answered. He wants to be with that ex. They had this fake pregnancy. They faked this whole miscarriage thing. Honey, ain't nobody gonna convince me otherwise, child. Allegedly. He don't want nothing to do with you. He has said it countless times. And so I don't understand what the questions that you have that are unanswered. She wants it to be done. And she's still hopeful to find love. Stay out of that confessional wig and we will see what we can do, honey. Over to Vincent and Bree. Vincent meets Pastor Cal. He says, nice shoes. Vincent says, she bought me the shoes. I'm sure she did, you little gigolo. Vincent said, things are going great. Pastor Cal said, well, what is the downfall? He says, her communication and her being snappy, sometimes she can be a little bit aggressive. And then he said, well, what about yours? He said, just my attention span. Boy, what? Your attention span? Boy, all you do is sit up and holler and get upset. Boy, gone. Vincent says, she gets up early and he's tired after driving all day. Looking for work, honey, driving around all day looking for work, okay? He says, is it wrong if I want to sleep in, and I don't want to get up right away because I don't want her to think I'm lazy? Why would she think you're lazy if you're an entrepreneur? And riddle me this, if you're an entrepreneur, honey, you should hit the ground running each and every morning, getting ready to build that business. And because you said you wanted all these things for you and Brianna, so how are you sleeping till noon? I don't understand, honey. I'm not understanding. It's not adding up. But okay, everybody, with his $800,000 child. Okay, honey. So then, Pastor Cal was telling him, you don't have to do everything that she wants. Just because she wants it doesn't mean you have to do it, honey. Anyway, Bree meets with Dr. P. Dr. Pepper said, well, tell me the high points. Brianna said, well, Vincent is very kind and joyous and he keeps my spirits up. Dr. P said, well, what are your challenges? Brianna said, well, we have different communication styles. Yes, you open your mouth and then he sits there and explodes. Okay, that's your different communication style. She says she nips it in the bud. He holds it in. Yes, he does hold it in till him in that too tight shirt explodes. Okay. Dr. P said, well, what questions do you have? So you can say yes on decision day. Brianna said, well, finances, I want to talk to him about that because they're so important. She says, she works hard, so she wants to play hard. She says he just started his business and wants to save everything for the future. And Dr. Pepper said, well, he's a proud person. So you need to find out how money ties into that because money is more than just the actual money itself. So Bree also says he wants to have kids soon, like in 2 years, and she wants to wait for 3 or 4 years. Her carrying a child in her body scares her because she has high blood pressure and a baby will definitely take a toll on her body. And that is the truth. When I tell y'all my fibroid exploded and I was paralyzed from the waist down from month 3 all the way till month 7, I had to go to physical therapy to learn how to walk again. A baby is not anything to take lightly. Okay, it really does take a toll on your body. Dr. Pepper says, well, you need to tell him that. She says, well, I don't want to let him down. All these couples need a course in effective communication. 17 days until decision day. Here comes my boo Jacob, honey, suited and booted, coming in Sundays, his Sunday best, honey, going to meet the pastor. Jacob, you wasn't going to church. You were just going to meet Pastor Cal, but I appreciate a man in a suit and that beard, honey. Keep that beard. Yes, you were looking like something, okay? When I tell you on this episode you were looking like something, you were looking good. Pastor Cal says, well, what are the best things? Jacob sat there for a few minutes. He said, well, honestly, I'm attracted to her. That's about it. I've been playing by her rules and doing what she wants to do, and she really doesn't get to know me. Pastor Cal said, well, what made her pull back in Vegas? Pastor Cal said, you don't know. So Jacob said, I just want to know what made her pull back in Vegas. Pastor Cal said, you don't know? Then they do a flashback to Haley lying about what pulled her back in Vegas. But really and truly, we all know that they had sex and that didn't help her in the attraction department. And that's the reason why she pulled back. I mean, she just needs to be honest. I can't stand Haley. Pastor Cal said, well, what would you want to know? He said, is there a part of you that wants to be with her? And Jacob said, yeah. Dr. P is over with Haley. She said, well, what do you know? Haley said, he has a good job, a nice house. He will be there if you call him no matter what. He cooks, he cleans, and don't smell like onion rings. Like, I'm trying to figure out what else do you want from him? Sounds like a catch to me, girl. And he really banging now that he got his beard going. Girl, shut up, you and your turtleneck. Anyway, so Dr. P said, what I think is the problem is y'all don't really know each other. No, what the problem is Haley is a stuck-up wench, and she don't want to get to know Jacob at all. She wants to have him conform to fit to her little bubble, and when he doesn't do exactly what she says, then she's done. Child, Haley said, well, he can't verbalize anything. He's been in Atlanta for 10 years, and he can't tell me anything. So Dr. Pepper says, well, he's changing for you, but you haven't made any changes. Tell her, Master P. Tell her, Dr. P. Then they do a flashback. Honey, they flash back to her and that turtleneck and how she's claiming she's doing everything but ain't doing a damn thing. Dr. Pepper says, you want someone to just drop into your life. Honey, it doesn't work like that. She said, are you sensitive of other people's expectations of you? And then she says yes, and here she goes with the waterworks. And Dr. P was just sitting there looking at her sideways, honey, because ain't nobody buying you crying, okay? So she said, why are you crying, sweetie? She said, and I'm thinking because you can see through her BS, that's why she crying. Haley said, I just feel like a failure. Dr. Pepper said, well, it's not over yet. Yes, it is, Dr. Pepper. Do not try to force her to stay with my Jacob, honey. If she don't want nothing to do with it, tell her and that Karen blouse wearing heifer that she needs to go head on, honey. It ain't nothing that's going to happen. She crying because she feels stuck and no one yet has sided with her. Not even her pinched nose pal, Lauren. Girl, bye. 17 days until decision day. Sensitive Vinny gets home and he and Brianna start to talk. Vincent, so he starts asking about her visit with Dr. P. And Bree said, she wanted to know how you value $1. Bree says, I work hard and I want to spend it. And Vincent said he used to blow a bag, but now he's thinking about the future. And I think that that's a responsible thing to do, especially when you work for Carvana and drive Uber on the weekend. So, all your little change, you need to keep it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing before y'all get all sensitive in the comments. He doesn't work for Carvana. He makes $800,000 a year. Girl, his business just got started in April. Y'all gone. Anyway. So Bree said, are we still going to date? Are you still going to take me out? And this is what was confusing me. So Vincent wants to go, he wants to do all these things. He wants to go to Venice. He wants to go to France, honey. He wants to do everything extravagant, but he doesn't want to budget for it. Then on top of that, he's telling her all the things that he wants her to do for him, but how is she going to do that if she doesn't take from the expenses as far as what you put aside for your dates? Then Vincent says, I want to see where we can save. I don't want to just spend. Now, that is the very responsible thing to do, especially since the two of you want to have kids. Well, the kid thing is a little up in the air, but just being a married couple in general, you want to make sure that you're saving and doing what needs to be done in order for you to have a nice life, honey. So he said, well, what can you do to compromise? She said, me? What can I do to compromise? Yeah, you. Because he ain't saying nothing about, she's like, well, we can go hiking, biking, and roller skating, honey. Y'all will. Y'all will definitely be doing some outside activities. If they're free 99, Vincent will be there. Vincent said, what's the issue with me sleeping late? She said, well, the early bird gets the worm. I'm paraphrasing. She didn't exactly say that, but I'm just paraphrasing. He said, well, what is your compromise? She said, only me? Well, when you get in the bed, maybe we can start going to bed earlier, because when you get in the bed, then you're on your phone. And that just keeps you up all night and it gets your engine running and then you don't go to sleep. Bree, listen, Everybody don't rise and shine at 5 a.m. Let the man sleep if he want to sleep. And right now, both of y'all need to be getting all the sleep you can get if you're talking about having kids. Because let me tell you, them little monsters will wake you up at the crack of dawn. Kids can literally go to sleep at 6 a.m. They can be up all night long. They will wake up at 6:45. Mommy. So, honey, you better get some sleep, child. While you sitting up there trying to wake him up, you better get some sleep. I'm telling you right now, get your shut eye. Bree starts telling Vincent she's afraid to give birth, and he starts looking at her crazy. Like she's telling him about her high blood pressure and explaining to him what could happen, and he's just looking. I don't feel like he heard anything she said. Vincent, you're very selfish, okay? I need you to educate yourself. I need you to go to the Googler, honey, and see what happens when a woman has high blood pressure during a pregnancy. And Bree was like, I can see him getting frustrated. Girl, don't worry about that, honey, because that's what you need to see so that you will know when to run. And that will be decision day. She said, I should have told him, but it's a real fear. Vincent said, well, the longer you wait, the harder it will be. It has nothing to do with waiting. If the high blood pressure is there, it's not going anywhere. And if she adds a pregnancy on top of that, it could potentially kill her. No matter how long or how soon she gets impregnated. Like, you're not making any sense. So then he says in the confessional, in 2 weeks, I could either be happily married or divorced. Selfish. I just can't imagine not having my kids around me on my deathbed. Well, can you imagine being a single dad? Can you imagine them handing you the baby and your wife rolling away in a coroner van? Can you imagine that? Like, I'm trying to figure out which one. Okay. Black women are more likely to die during childbirth. Okay. Some women's bodies literally reject having kids. Quite frankly, the only person on this show with childbearing hips is Chris. Okay? You want to have a baby, go over and hit Chris up. He ain't doing nothing. Child. We back over here. Haley in her turtleneck tells us that Dr. P was right. Duh. Jacob gets home. He says he feels like this marriage is his last chance to find love. Jacob, listen to me. No, it is not. No, it is not. Do not speak those kind of things into existence. This is not your last chance to find love, honey. Since you've been on this show, let me tell you something. There's a whole Jacob fan club over here on this channel. And you already know. Okay? So do not say this is your last chance to find love. You are a very eligible bachelor and you need a grown woman who is willing to work with you. She keeps talking about the 80s. We ain't heard about the 80s since episode 1. Okay, so nobody's worried about Haley. Nobody's checking for Haley, but please do not check out. There are some women who will want you. Okay, they talk about their talks. Well, kind of. They really weren't saying much. Haley says her questions are never really answered. Who cares? It's either about college or something else. So then Jacob opens up a little bit. He says, well, at 33, all of his friends were getting married and having kids, and he was trying to find a wife because all of his friends were doing the same thing. Jacob said, well, why do you need so much space? And she said, because she was in a controlling relationship. Haley, anyway, child. And then they have another little bit of a talk, but, and child, she's like, he's like, I feel like when I'm talking to you, you're not engaging. She's like, I am engaging. Lies, honey. This is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. Basically, Haley and Jacob talk, honey, and that is the end of the episode. This is what I want to say, honey, because I know I ran a little long this episode. Chris, you can go to hell. Paige, I hope you find somebody that is suitable for you, honey. You deserve love. You are a queen. Do not let this little troll tell you that you are not one, honey, because we all see it, child. We see the beauty in you. We're just going to have to get you some good wigs. Haley, you can go to hell. Jacob, do not give up on love just because Haley was sitting back all flat-faced, acting like she wanted you to conform to fit to her. You are not a Ken doll, honey, even though your body is kind of built like one. You are not a Ken doll. Do not let anybody change you. A relationship is to complement the other person, not to change into who the other person wants you to be. Bree, you need to have a serious talk with Vincent about having these babies, honey, because birthing them babies ain't no joke. Vincent, you need to listen. Okay, if you don't have the funds, then you just say we can't afford $10,000 right now. Bree, in regards to your budget, you're gonna have to grow up. Virginia, you are just too young, honey, and not ready to be married. Not because Eric is a prize, but because you think that your husband has to make plans with you and your girlfriends come first. Eric, honey, my condolences. Anywho, that concludes this review for Married at First Sight. Y'all, I was going to say Love and Marriage Huntsville, honey. All of the trifling men, I just can't get my stories right. Anyway, that concludes my review for Married at First Sight. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please do not hesitate to share it with somebody, share it with a friend. Come back for more because we're not quite done yet. We still have a few more episodes and a review. And I want to say this, Chris, okay? I just want to say this in closing. Don't ever think that karma will not come to find you, because the way that you have treated this lady, in the future, if you do happen to spawn a seed, if someone does lay down with you and create another life, just imagine your face on their body. And that's all I have. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.